Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously wherever you are in the world. So 3, 2, 1, my juice little lads. Thank you, little lads. You're delicious and bright. Yes, they are, aren't they, my little lovelies? Now then, the time is 20 past 2 in our old England, my delicious little babies. And the weather, well, we've got a lot of not so very nice grey clouds. It has been sunshining in and out. Apparently it's 21 today, although it may have felt like that earlier, but it's not feeling like that now. Okay, my delicious little babies, and that's the weather forecast in our neck of the woods, okay? It may differ in other parts of the world. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, right, okay. So I've got 3 today, my little lovelies, okay? And yeah, it's like there's a bit of a mixture going on today, my delicious little babies, okay? So, and all I'm doing is just, just giving out the videos, okay, my delicious little babies, okay? Because it's what I like to do, like I've said, as a hobby, and I happen to enjoy my hobby, okay? But what it is, you see, these are all very different. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I'm going to go with the first one. This uploader happens to have 1,945 subscribers, my delicious little babies. This is Odyssey. Okay, so it's Odyssee. Odyssey. Okay, my delicious little babies. And there was a group, wasn't there, called Odyssey, my delicious little babies, wasn't there? Do you remember, was it back in the 70s? Anyway, my delicious little babies. The video, sorry, I'm going to tell you what to type in, please and thank you. Should anybody have any form of an interest, this video is an hour and 18 minutes and so many seconds long, my delicious little babies. There's actually an awful lot in this video, my delicious little babies, okay? Now, I did used to advertise him a lot when we could see BitChute, which I'll repeat again, very sadly, we cannot anymore in old England, my delicious little babies, very sadly. So it's capital E, so it's all the words together, capital E for ours, and then capital R, okay, is, and capital W for watching. So it should read EyesIsWatchin. 3 words all crammed together, my delicious little babies. And then you should be able to get onto, or, even if you type in Odyssey on a search engine of your choice, then it's just a case of typing in EyesIsWatchin. Okay, my delicious little babies. And the video that you're looking for would be the latest one, which was yesterday. Okay, my delicious little babies. So this should read EyesIsWatchin hashtag 183. This is the latest video. Okay, my delicious little babies. Trauma Theatre in DC. Just going over the dots. Trump's Golden Dome and the Great Dying. We do not like that word, my delicious little babies, but we seem to be hearing, there we are, very sadly, a lot of this. So I'll just repeat this again. This is the video that you're looking for, my delicious little babies, what it should read. EyesIsWatchin, hashtag 183, Trauma Theatre in DC, Trump's Golden Dome and the Great Dying. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, there's an awful lot that's covered in all of this. It's also to do with art and everything like that now then. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? And of course, I've talked myself about this, Trouble Trump's so-called dome. Okay, my delicious little babies, and I can well assure everybody now, I'm not talking to any of our little delicious little babies out there who already know this. I'm talking to our delicious little babies who do not know this. Okay, my delicious little babies. So this is certainly not a a dome that one would be sparing the thought of, my delicious babies. Now, many months ago, I did happen to mention, because this is also going on in Saudi Arabia as well, my delicious little baby. Where is it now? Sorry, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I think it's Saudi. I mentioned it months ago, and it's to do with a very large building in a desert, my delicious little babies, and it's built like as one of these smart cities, or over here we call it 15-minute cities. You know what they're trying to do, my delicious little babies. Okay. So, and we have been, there we are, talking about this long time. There's been many uploaders who have been discussing this, my delicious little babies, but of course you will never ever hear about this with the box in the corner of the room, my delicious little babies, because they do not want to tell the truth. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Because if the truth was known, then they see it as maybe there could be, there we are, civil unrest, my delicious little babies, because nobody's going to want to have their houses, if they bought them, or flats, removed. Nobody's going to want to have their businesses removed. Do you see what I'm saying to you, my delicious little babies? Okay. Now, for myself, I am not saying anything, there we are, that is not already on the internet. Okay, I've advertised a lot of videos over this past over 3 years now, my delicious little babies, to the time that I've been on YouTube. Okay. So there we are. I only need to go back in my books. It may take me time to find the exact, videos that I'm talking about, but I can well assure you all now, my delicious little babies, there we are, that I known about this long time, and especially with that one in Saudi Arabia, my delicious little babies, there we are. Do you know what I mean? As well as Trouble Trump's dome. Okay, my delicious little babies. Okay, it's all under one roof. We used to have that doesn't mean no, just got an itch. We used to have it used to be called an art club called the Dome. So anybody, that doesn't mean no, so anybody who lives in our old Brummyland, who's around my age, they will remember, there we are, they will remember that club, if anybody ever used to go out clubbing, my delicious little babies. Okay, and it was called the Dome. So it's like you walk in, everything's dark, you got all the disco lights, you know what I mean, like that. Anyway, my delicious little babies, I do not believe it's there anymore. No, there was a problem there as well when the one evening, that doesn't mean no, again, got an itch, when, and I mentioned this a lot of months ago, and the dear gentleman, bless him, because he used to come into my place of work where I used to work decades ago when I was like 2021, and yeah, it was very sad. I've still got his newspaper clipping, I mean, not in that way. He was just, there we are, a lovely gentleman to know and to talk to, my delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? And he used to work on the doors at the Dome, okay? But the one evening, you had a load of, because you used to get queues after queues there, okay, my delicious little babies. It was like the main one, the main club, okay, my delicious little babies. Well, it was, when I was younger. Well, I'm not old now, my delicious little babies, but the one night, and this dear gentleman, there we are, bless his dear little soul, he was trying to protect as many as he could to get, the public out of the way who were queuing, okay, and this car had gone straight into, into the crowd, my delicious babies, the line that they formed, and this car, and he was trying his best to protect as many as he could who were waiting to get into the club, but very sadly, that car took his life, my delicious little babies. And I remember when we all found out, there we are, we were just so saddened by it. Do you know what I mean? Because he's a really great gentleman, there we are, to know. Do you know what I mean? Okay, you could have a really banging conversation with him. But of course, he had his his beautiful little family, his wife and his band, they were like grown up, do you know what I mean? But yeah, but a car took his life, but his life was taken by helping and trying to get out the way as many as he could. Do you see what I mean? Okay. And very sadly, his own life was sacrificed, my delicious little babies. But I never forget him. I can see him now as I'm talking to you. There we are. I can still see him now. But like I said, not in that way, not in that way. Do you know what I mean? We were just all very sad because it was just a shock. We'd only seen him not long before. Must have been only a matter of days. Do you know what I mean? And then he said, "Oh, I'll see you next time." Do you know what I mean? And I'll see you soon. And look what happens, my delicious little babies. You know what I mean? That's why I always say that life, well, it is very precious, isn't it? So sometimes, one can go through the ups and downs. We've all been there, my delicious little babies, at some point or another. But the point is that life, there we are, is so very precious. You know what I mean? Okay, just to look at nature, just to have family, friends, or who we call our little babies, our son and daughters around us. You know what I mean? Life is so very precious. There we are. Okay, so that's that. But yeah, well worth a listen, my delicious little babies. It's just I just wanted to mention it. But oh, bless you. Hope you're resting in peace, our little lovely. But anyway, so the next video, my delicious little babies, okay, so I'm going to mention this one. Now, this is on YouTube, so the final two are on YouTube, my delicious little babies. So this one here happens to have 275,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay, and it's called SoCo Space Films. So it's these are all in capitals. I'll spell it out, SOCO space capital F and then the rest lowercase films. Okay, my delicious little babies on old YouTube. Okay, that's the uploader. And with anybody not in that way. Now then, this video should read and it's come up on my feed, why Muslims don't migrate to Islamic countries. Question mark. I always do as I do with anything, my delicious little babies. In brackets, Orlando Speakers Corner. And Speakers Corner, so for most of you, my delicious little babies, you will know that Speakers Corner is in London, in our old England, my delicious little babies. Okay, ones have been there. We are going there for many years. Okay, and what the idea is that ones have discussions about different things that are going on in the world, my delicious little babies. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat that again for you. Why Muslims don't migrate to Islamic countries. Question marks in brackets, Orlando Speakers Corner. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, my delicious little babies. So this video is over 20 minutes, 27 minutes long. Do forgive me. Okay, my delicious little babies. And yeah, it does get, I've got to be honest, it does get rather heated. This video does, to do with the conversation that Orlando and another man is talking about, my delicious little babies. Now, for myself, you see, I was listening to two sides here. There we are. I was listening to two sides here, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, but I will agree, and to be honest with you, in the end, the man ended up walking off because, do you understand what I mean? Walking away from Orlando because, you see what it is. What Orlando was asking is why, if if you've got like an opportunity to go somewhere, so why do they not go to like Dubai or somewhere like that? Now, and then he also was asking about the flags. He said, well, would you be able to fly a flag in, say, is it like Iraq, Yemen, or anywhere like that, different flags. Like, do you understand what I mean? Anyway, you'd need to listen to it, my delicious little babies, okay? but I was listening to both sides of it. Now, if you look at, which is absolutely banging correct, if you look at, the countries, there we are, that have been bombed, but the reality is, okay, is that it's not us as the English, my delicious little babies. It's not us. I've said this on other videos months and months and months ago, my delicious little babies, okay? It is, our putrid, there we are, our putrid governments, and this is like other governments in the world as well, my delicious little babies, okay? It's not us personally. Okay, and this is what, there we are, Orlando was saying, okay? But you can certainly hear, and this is what I have thought has been rather disturbing, my delicious little babies, there we are, for a very long time. You can actually hear, there we are, the racism. Do you know what I mean? Okay, but what Orlando was saying, I got what he was saying, but at the same time, I got what your other man there was saying when he was saying about, well, the countries get bombed, so he's correcting what he's saying. But it's not us, ourselves, like myself or yourself. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, so this is where it's a very deep subject. There we are, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, and all that Orlando was saying is that if you want to live in a country, what country would be, whatever country, sorry, okay? Well, at the end of the day, you should abide by their laws. There we are. Do you know what I mean? Okay? So, yes, that's absolutely banging correct. I mean, I've said for years, there we are, for decades, right? So if you was to go over to another country now, I mean, I remember, we are going back a very long time now, okay, my delicious about years and years and years, okay, and I remember myself, okay, so this is not being nasty, I'm just done saying what I'm saying, where, women like myself, say for example, if I wanted to go to Dubai, for an example, which of course I never ever would. It's just simple things, not my cup of tea. Okay, my delicious little babies. I just don't like skyscrapers. It's just not a country I'd want to go to. Okay, my delicious little babies. Okay, and that doesn't mean yes. Well, you're not allowed like to wear or to walk around with. Do you know what I mean? Okay, like tops, and it was, there we are, very much like that at one time, my delicious little babies. I do believe that the laws have maybe been, there we are, more relaxed now over the years, okay, for tourists, okay, although I do not know in depth about this, I'm just saying, okay. So therefore you would respect Dubai's way of life, wouldn't you, my delicious babies, okay? So what Orlando was saying is that why isn't this happening, there we are, in our old England, my delicious babies? That's the question that he was asking. Now, of course, then you had another man there then talking to Orlando, and what he was saying is that, you got good and bad in everybody in different cultures. And there we are. And this is what I have said, there we are, myself, okay? But it seems to myself, and I'm going to be honest with you, my delicious babies, that right now, especially on the old YouTube, that it's very much dominated by all of this subject and topic, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? And if it's not that, it's Trouble Trump. Do you know what I mean? So, but the point is that Orlando said at the very end, he said, he said everything is about religion, there we are. And I've been done saying the same thing. It's like, I'm going to repeat this again, my delicious little babies. When I say God bless, okay, my delicious little babies, okay, or if I say blessings or God bless, if I send a comment, to a channel who I happen to listen to, and happen to respect, the channel and who they are, okay? I'm not talking about God bless. I'm talking about your own, there we are, your own dear God, there we are, within. So I'm going to be, there we are, done repeating that again. Because for ourselves, in the world, we've been, to a degree, well, we have, each and every one of us, for the majority of us, okay, we have been sort of trained. Well, it's like training, isn't it? Training us that, that we're nothing special, and, you know what I mean, we're so tiny that we're useless and everything like this now then. Do you know what I mean? When it is on the contrary, there we are, quite the opposite, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. So, again, what's my point to everything what I'm just saying? Again, we come back to religion again. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? But from what I can see here, and I've known this, there we are, long time, okay, and we hear it quite clearly, okay, that there seems to be things missing here where we seem to have, and in our old England as well, my delicious little babies, okay, and around the world, we seem to have a bit of an issue here because nobody quite knows all the history. Now, even for, bless them, there we are, historians, even for historians, I'm pretty sure that they, bless their dear souls, have been also, there we are, duped, there we are, at some time, my delicious little babies, okay, that there must have been at some point. Give as an example, give an archaeologist, there we are, that's what just came to my noddle. As an example, an archaeologist. So there must have been at some point scratching their heads, and saying to themselves with their noddles, well, this doesn't sound right. Do you know what I mean? So none of us have really been fully told, there we are, the truth about anything. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So, and even if you go further back, there we are, further back and further back, of course, you're going to have some of it in books or so forth, that's going to be slightly, I would say, diluted. There we are. Okay, my delicious little babies, and this appears to be what a large part, there we are, the issue is. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so it's, well, there we are, worth a listen. I'm not saying it for any other reason. I'm just explaining that you're hearing different points of view, but it can get, it's not very often actually that you get it where it gets to the point of, you know what I mean, beyond having a heated conversation, because it's usually, there we are, pretty much ended by that time. Do you know what I mean? You will get the occasional, okay, where somebody doesn't agree with somebody else, like when we go back was it over a couple of years ago now, where that poor woman, bless her, she used to be a Muslim, for years and years and years, bless her. She was all over YouTube at one point, okay, my little babies, because there were lots of different uploaders who were uploading the footage. And she was explaining that she'd come out of, wanting to be a Muslim anymore. But because she was speaking a mind, and, in that speaker's corner and everything, Martinish took babies, a grown man now, big man, went up and boxed her in the face, Martinish took babies, and bless her, and knocked her glasses. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. Of course, there was no need for that. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. I mean, I know that they may feel strongly about it, but what right does, your man there have a right to hit that woman? Do you understand what I mean? Okay, she has one view and he has another. But I mean, it did go one step further, because she did actually put a hole in the book of the Quran. Mardalishlik babies, okay, so I'm pretty sure it rattled some. Okay, Mardalishlik babies, okay, but she felt very strongly about what she was talking about, and of course she felt herself that she'd been lied to. There we are, to do with her religion. Do you see what I mean? But that is a rarity that anything like that ever happens, you know. And if it had done, I'm sure I would have seen it by now. I mean, I could be wrong, you know, but yeah, but it's just come back upon my feed, you know, after all this time. I'm pretty sure that I've advertised Soko films before, Marzalistic Babies, but it may have been quite a while ago, actually. Now, finally, what I want to talk about, and this has came up on my feed. This uploader happens to have 1.73 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? And this is called, and again, this is two words together, okay, my delicious little babies, okay? But just getting back to that previous video that I was just talking about, I'm not saying it for any other reason. And anybody who's, there we are, so very kind enough. So thank you for any views, for any likes, or for the occasional comments. You will know that I'm not saying it for any other reason. You will already know this. But for anybody who's never looked at my video before, okay, you clearly would need to see other videos, there we are, to see what type of a woman that I am. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so I never meant it that way. It's just looking at different angles, there we are, of what one's thoughts are. But the barefaced truth is, my delicious babies, is that none of us, even to up to this day, have been told the full truth. I've got nothing across my shoulders, so that's telling me no. Do you see what I mean? Okay, and that is all that I'm saying. It's like food for thought. There we are, food for thought. There we are. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So it's very, the way that they've done it, I mean, I'll hand it to them. You know, they played the card very well. Do you see what I mean? Okay. Because it's caused, there we are, an awful lot. There we are, a division. You see what I mean? Okay. And I'm just going to leave it like that, you know. But anyway. But finally, yeah. So this is called, it's all lowercase, two words into one, like I said. Counter culture. Okay, so it's COUNTER and then culture. Do you know what I mean? CULTURE, culture. Okay, my delicious babies. This video should read ITN's Kim Sabido remembers the bean field. Okay, my delicious babies. So this video here is about, is it just over 13 and a half minutes long, my delicious little babies? I'll just repeat that once again for you. ITN's Kim Sabido remembers the bean field. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, so now I'm going to close my book. We must, there we are, remember to go backwards, okay? Please and thank you, my little lovelies. It's all ticked off. Now then, very interesting this is, because this is about a journalist who was actually, there we are, I feel, one of the journalists, there we are, who was actually doing their job properly, my delicious little babies, okay? Now, this is going back some decades ago. It's all to do with the bean field, okay? Now, for some of you, my delicious little babies, you may know of this, but for others of my delicious little babies, you may not know about this, okay? But it's very interesting to take a listen to, my delicious little babies. Very interesting to watch. There we are, the footage. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, when I go back to the 70s and 80s, my delicious little babies, okay? For myself personally, and I'll repeat this again, we used to know constables and, like I said, where we used to live anyway, there was very little trouble. And I'm not just saying that there just wasn't, my delicious little babies, okay? And that's when the old bill, as I call, well, anyway, there's thousands who say the old bill, okay, would also say the same. They would say the same as myself. You know, there wasn't all that trouble. But anyway, however, clearly in other parts of England, there we are, there were other problems going on, my delicious little babies, but you need to go back, there we are, to the year. There we are, okay, to the year or two, there we are, I would say, my delicious little babies, okay, and that's the end of my video. Oh, and just before I go, was it a few days ago, there was a fire engine who came up our road, my delicious little babies, okay, And I thought, what's the fire engine coming up for? I thought, because I cannot smell any smoke. There's really, there we are. I just thought it was most odd. Mad delicious little babies, you know what I mean? It's sort of drag, because where I live, you see, you come into the road and you drive up, and then it goes sort of all round in a circle, and then you go back out again. It's just really odd that it drove round like that. I forgot to mention it the other day, mad delicious little babies. Anyway, so that's the end of my video, mad delicious little babies. Oh, and one last thing I heard was was there fires being lit in Cyprus? My delicious little babies. I heard it on, which video did I hear it on? I forgot which one I heard it on now, but bless them. Well, in reality, these fires do not start themselves, do they, my delicious little babies? And we also have to look at what part of Cyprus, like if we go back to, and I've seen plenty of videos, bless them, to do with Maui. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And there's been many other places. Do you see what I mean? Of course, they did it to, where is it? Los Angeles as well. They never had no water. Okay, to put the fires out. Okay, so there was clearly something going on now, isn't it? Okay, long time, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. But it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. But of course, as we very well know, or we should know by now, there we are, that there is clearly an agenda here, isn't there? Oh, and very lastly, yeah. So latest that I heard to do with the Liverpool, to do with Paul Doyle. What did they say? Only from what I'd heard on a video, was it about 1 minute 15 seconds or something yesterday, that to do with the Liverpool crash, that he was very emotional, you know, but now he's got another court date. Yeah, he's an ex-Marine, wasn't he? My delicious little babies. You see, even as an ex-Marine, okay, because they, well, anyway, I knew an ex-Marine from when I was ex-SAS, you know, what some, you know, like that. And, you know, they are literally, and I was only little, I know them from when I was 11, not in that way, you know what I mean? But they are like a machine. Do you see what I mean? Okay, because they're trained to be, very tough. And I remember many years ago when I watched many different documentaries, okay, you know, and they had some useful documentaries, my delicious little babies, okay, that it is very, let's just say, strong training. There we are, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so it's like you have a certain mindset, but still, we do not know what has caused, do we, my delicious little babies? Okay, at this point, okay. So it's well worth continuing to follow. There we are, what is going on here, and what has caused this, because there's clearly something that has caused, there we are, for whatever reason, your man there we are, to do what he did, very sadly. Okay, we can only hope that, you know, whoever was really poorly, bless it, there we are, that they will, bless them, recover. But it's not sounding as though he's, let's just say, very happy at all at what he's done either. That's why I said on my video yesterday, but again, I hardly ever get any views, my delicious little babies, but it's all by design. There we are, I'm fully aware of that. Okay, my delicious little babies, that's why I always say, those who are meant to see will see, those who are meant to hear will hear. Do you see what I mean? But that's why I said yesterday on my video, I do not believe that, you know, somebody would just wake up in the morning and just want to go and, you know, run ones over. Do you see what I mean? Okay, there we are, something behind this. There must be something, there we are, that triggered this. Whatever it is, none of us know as yet. That doesn't mean, yes, my delicious babies, because we do not know, do we? But imagine his family, because it's not just himself going through it. It's not just the poor dear victims and their families going through it. There we are. It's his family as well who are going through it. There we are. So really, this has affected a very large number, hasn't it, my delicious babies? Okay, so I'm going to continue to do my best to follow. There we are. What is going on with that as well, my delicious little babies. Okay, but anyway, so until my next video, sending peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families all be fully protected. And please take care of yourselves now, and please try to take care of others, okay? Because we are in a bonkers, crackers, and crazy world, okay? So until my next video, to you all my little beautifuls, thank you so very much again. How I love you all. So look after now. Love ya. Goodbye.